This is Coach at Unmasked. I'm Madison Hawthorne with Golden Tree Publishing, and I'm here with Ray. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Raymond Youngblood, a.k.a. Ray's Arts. I am a digital freelance illustrator. My commissions are open, so you can feel free to email me at rays.the.arts@gmail.org. And if you want to find my work, you can find it on Instagram at instagram.com/rays_arts. That's RAIZ_ARTS.
And this is Chris Newman. You can find me on Instagram. You can find some of my works now recently put up on Quick Drip IVPGH on Instagram. And then I think our Snapchat goes live where I did some videos on there and some editing. But yeah, I'm an artist. I'm a author. I'm a father. I'm a lover. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram. And I'll send it right back over to Madison.
Yep, and again, you guys can catch Golden Tree Publishing at goldentreepublishing.com, or you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Golden Tree Publishing. And on YouTube, you can check this podcast out on Golden Tree TV. And but yeah, I guess we'll get into it. Anybody see anything new since the last time we spoke?
Ray?
The answer is yeah. It's new anime season. ReZero is back. Promised Neverland is back, which I've been really excited for this season. And what else? I think that's pretty much all I'm watching. I never talked about this before, but I'm also watching Yashahime as well, which is for any older people in the room, an Inuyasha sequel with Inuyasha and Sesshomaru's daughters. So that's pretty cool. They're starting to really ramp it up with the second half of the season for that. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to conclude.
Is it better than Boruto? Because I'm not.
It's definitely better than Boruto. There's no doubt about it. It's way better than Boruto. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that Yashahime is great. I think that it carries on a lot of it's like a continuation of Inuyasha, and Inuyasha worked really well back in the day. But nowadays, especially like since we know like Yashahime is not going to be Inuyasha. It's not going to be 100 some odd episode series. It's going to be a 26 episode series. And so with a series like that, you don't really have the luxury of dragging things out. But it's also hard because you don't have the luxury of being able to really power your characters up either in a way that is satisfying. So it's kind of hard for them to find their footing. And I really think that it's going to be up to the old cast to kind of save the day. We don't know where they're at right now. That's not a spoiler. They tell you that literally in episode 1. We don't know where anybody's at right now. But my theory is that in order for this to be satisfying, it's going to be up to the old cast, just because we don't have the time spent to really be able to fully flesh these guys out and give them new abilities.
That makes sense.
But it's definitely better than Boruto, 100%. So I'm enjoying it. I know people are a little upset because of who Sesshomaru ended up having kids with. I don't know who else they think he would have a kid with, but they were pretty upset either way. Whatever. But it's good. It's good.
Is that a spoiler?
That's not a spoiler.
I haven't watched it. No, I said, is it a spoiler? If you say who it is.
Common sense.
Because I want to say who I think it is, because I haven't seen it. Okay, so this is exactly who I think it is. Okay, I'm not gonna say.
It's common sense, but people were pissed. Like they were pissed, and it's just like, ooh, what? They're half demons. Like they're half demons. Who else is he spending his time with? What are we talking about?
Right.
But yeah, it's good. Check it out. It's really good. I really like the daughter Toa a bit more than Setsuna. They're twins. And Moroha, even though she's Inuyasha's daughter, she's a side character, man, and that's really interesting to see. Like, so Shomuru's daughters are really at the forefront of this anime, which is really nice. It's a nice change in pace.
What type of anime is it? Because I'm learning that my kids don't watch action animes like I used to. So,
It's
like, is it more of a story?
It's
it's a
fantasy.
Yeah, yep.
It's like some sword fighting with some magic. I don't know. It's Japanese, you know.
Okay.
The way they do things, their genres aren't like as hard cut as ours. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like with the way we have, like, if you're doing something fantasy, it's like so obvious. But theirs is like sword and sorcery almost, but it's like just done in more dynamic style. But
I will absolutely say, Newman, this show wouldn't really be for your daughters, only because they haven't watched Inuyasha yet. Now, if you get them on Inuyasha, go on ahead. But this is definitely a show made like for fans. There's no way around it. So
cool.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. What about you, Madison?
I watched the first 4 episodes of Attack on Titan season 4.
Okay. Wait, you watched the episode today?
No, I didn't watch today's episode yet.
Oh man, okay, neither did I. So that's good. Okay, we can talk.
But I definitely I like, and I bring this up because of what we're going to talk about in the main topic, which is we're going to be talking a little bit about time skips. So I'll probably bring that up a little bit without trying to put any spoilers in there. But
that's why I brought up Yashahime as well.
Yeah, so there's that. But other than that, that's basically about all that I've really seen. I haven't seen much of anything else. So.
Okay. What about you, Newman?
I finally watched The Boys season 2, and I was disappointed. Like, I like the theme and everything and where they were going, but when I'm sitting there guessing, oh, this is about to happen, that's when I'm like, yo, I should be in these writing rooms, man, getting a check. I'm guessing too much that's gonna happen, man. But I mean, you can do that with a lot of stuff.
The Boys season 2, I like the I didn't like the first couple episodes, and then I felt like it got better.
It did get better
towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the first couple episodes, I was like, they couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep it up. Like, but the first 2 episodes, the first 3 episodes, I was like, oh man, I'm probably gonna stop watching the show almost. and then I felt like it got a lot better. But I see what you're saying. Like, it was kind of predictable, but there were some things that I was surprised about. So
I like The Boys season 2. Ultimately, like, even with the antagonist, there was a scene. I don't know, like, is it really a spoiler for The Boys? I feel like that's so popular that you can kind of talk about it.
There's some spoilers.
It's been out. I don't know how long it's been out for.
Listen, viewers,
a couple months.
Listeners. Yeah. All right, spoilers ahead. Skip like 30 seconds. I feel like even when they were in the building where, what's her name, Stormfront, when she started like killing, like black people, like, oh, they're going this route. And like, I was happy to see that, the idea that I had was actually true, that she's a racist. And like, it was really good to see that, because like they didn't outright, say it at first. And so to kind of like
that's not really like a spoiler though, because if you know the comic book, then you would know that Stormfront used to be a Nazi. Like, you know.
Nah, yeah, and I didn't read the original comics.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not. I guess I wouldn't even I wouldn't technically say that's a spoiler because that information's already been out there since when that came out, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
That comic came out. So,
ladies and gentlemen, spoiler warning retracted.
But like, you know, I liked how they played on kind of what we're living in today. You know, with politics and kind of the whole, you know, the last presidential election and how it was a great line where it's just like, you're building fans, and she's like, I'm building soldiers. So no matter what, these people are going to do whatever I want them to do. When you can lose like your fans, and I'm like, yo, that is perfect. That is perfect. That was legit. So like I said, there's some essence to that I like, but it was like within those series though, you know, so much things were predictable, but you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that sometimes. So, you know, yeah. But the other thing, I outside of that, I've just been reading a lot. Like I read on the 7th chapter of Obama's The Promised Land, and I read like a chapter of that Michael Eric Dyson's Jay-Z. So I'm looking forward to finishing those. But yeah, I've just been reading a lot more. You know what I'm saying? To occupy my time. Those been good reads, man. Even if you just listen to a little bit of it, man, you're gonna want to listen to the rest of it. I woke up at 7 today, and I didn't stop listening, even when I was doing laundry and everything, until about 4.
Wow.
So it did. Yeah, and I'm not actually reading. I got the audio books. So yeah, man, definitely check those out if you just want to know a little bit about Obama, man. Is like I said, I've been inspired to kind of go into politics or at least the council, and just to hear his journey and his age and kind of the age that I'm at. I didn't even know he was so late into doing stuff, man. And it kind of goes on how he didn't say his goals changed, but you can hear how they've kind of adjusted and things like that. So it was dope. At least, like I said, I'm on chapter 7. There's 27 chapters, and I think it's 20 hours more of listening I have to do to finish it. So, yeah, that's about it, man.
How many episodes of Promised Neverland are out right now?
Season 1 is only 12 episodes. Season 2.
No, I mean season 2. How many are out for season 2 right now?
Only 1, and you can definitely stockpile. Unfortunately, like the great stuff that's going to happen this season isn't going to happen till the tail end, and I'm really mad because like I read the manga, so I'm all done with it. So in my head, I thought that the events that are going to pretty much happen next season at this point were going to happen this season, and unless they do a 24 episode run, which I don't think they're going to, this season's going to be fun, but it's not going to be as fun as next season's going to be. Next season, you guys are in for a major treat. And manga readers, you know what I'm talking about, too.
That's cool, because I ain't even read that.
Is that based off of Peter Pan, or is it, or nah?
No, not at all.
Completely different. It's just got that's just I guess the name. I guess that's how they decided to translate it for America.
Okay,
no.
I got you.
Yeah, in Japanese it's called Yakusoku no Neverlando, which is the Promised Neverland.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, that's what it is. I know I said that super smooth, but I'm not a Japanese connoisseur. I
was gonna say, man. So Ray really about to go over there, man, and write some stuff.
Man, but still, the season's still going to be pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to My Hero Academia's new season as well. Like manga readers, man, like that's the downside about being a manga reader. You get all the information first, but you don't get that hype that everybody gets when the anime comes out because it's dope.
So basically today we wanted to talk a little bit about like doing time skips and the best ways to do them, or just how we work them. Because like I said, we mentioned Attack on Titan, which has a big time skip for season 4.
And then Yashahime, which is a time skip.
Yeah, and then of course Naruto has their time skip. Even my comic Eita has a time skip. It's just not as far as those ones. So we could just talk a little bit about time skips in general and working them into your story. Like, Ray, does your story have a time skip at any point, or are you planning on putting one in there?
So it has a prequel, but there's enough information in that prequel to actually be its own standalone series. Whether or not I'm going to do that, it depends on the popularity of the comic whenever it comes out and who actually wants to see those backstories. I might do little one-shot chapters every now and again, kind of fleshing stuff out, especially like how, like Naruto did with Kakashi Gaiden with the Obito and Rin story. The downside, of course, is that Kakashi Gaiden completely takes away the surprise of Obito being the main villain. But, of course, the alternative would be that Obito would have came out of nowhere and we wouldn't have known anything about him.
Right.
But I do, like if there's something like that where I have to reveal a major plot point and I can't find another way to do it, I might do a little side chapter to kind of get that story out there. That way they can't say, man, that Youngblood dude, he just pulled that out of his behind. Nah, it's in the text. But other than that, no. I do have a flashback-centric beginning. Not to the point where it's just like a major exposition jump, but it's enough to still keep you engaged with the present, but nowhere near like Naruto-esque flashbacks. So, how did you employ flashbacks in your story?
So that's what for me with mine, like sometimes you see like mine's like a bit of a time skip, and then I work like flashbacks in throughout the story to kind of give you background on the character and his motivations, right? So like that's usually what background or like flashbacks especially are used for, is to give you a sense of like what that character is about, why they are a certain way or something like that. And that's kind of the way I work it in Eita. Is I do with the flashbacks, I just work it in as a way to kind of give you the background of the life of the character and kind of why they are the way they are. And then for the time skip is, again, like generally my time skip isn't that long. So it's basically just like 6 months. And the reason why I did it that way is because sometimes it's just like there's nothing going on really, right? During those 6 months for the character. So you get back to where essentially the story would take place, because what takes place wouldn't make sense if it just happened right away, Right. So without putting any spoilers in for my own thing. But yeah, so basically that's kind of how I work it. There's like a little 6 month for the jump. And my story, and it's mostly because, the character really wasn't doing much else but, living his life essentially. So that's kind of why I did it that way. And, do you have any examples, Ray or Newman, from like movies or comics or anything with time skips that you felt like they weren't executed well?
Like I said, that book, Obama's, he has some time skips in there. I think he did that. It all depends on what you're talking about and where you're going with it. But off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of time skips that I know there's some, man, and I couldn't think of any that just really didn't fit well. I can't think of any I don't like off the top of my head. And I've been trying to think for a while now. Like, I mean, for a couple hours. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is there any that, like, reading, it's hard. It's hard. I'll tell you what, it's hard to do a time skip while you're reading and try to keep up, because they don't just blatantly tell you, you know, this is a time skip for you. So it's easier to digest if you're seeing it. But yeah, I can't think of any that I truly dislike off the top of my head. How about you, Ray?
For me, Boruto the anime is probably a good example of how not to do your time skips, in my opinion. The manga is a little bit better, but there still are definitely characteristic issues that arise with the creation of Boruto and the way in which they did it. I was watching this YouTuber, Axel Beats, really good guy. He does a lot of Inuyasha and Yashahime content, but he brought up something that really made sense for me. Your time skip, if you're going to do a major time skip and then create a new focal character, you have to find a way to relegate your original main character to the background or to like a mentor role.
Right.
And so like with Boruto, they still want to have, like Naruto and Sasuke, as main characters, as the ones that are going to bail Boruto out of situations and things like that. And it creates several problems. One, the character of Naruto, just to be frank, has been completely assassinated. Spoilers for anyone, of course, that doesn't know who Boruto is or anything like that. Please, I'll probably need like 5 minutes. But Naruto, he was someone who was an outcast. He wasn't loved by the village. He completely was left alone and didn't feel that anyone loved or cared about him. And so for him to grow to be someone that has a child and completely abandons his kid or leaves his kid under the care of shadow clones because he's too busy being the Hokage, it completely goes against the character that we know. Like, this is the guy that chased one village, like member of the Leaf Village, around the world to bring him back home. And so he wouldn't give his own son that courtesy. That's not something that makes sense to me. And also, he's really harsh on Boruto as well. He doesn't really spend a lot of time teaching him. It's more like he spends a lot of time yelling at him. And so one thing I believe, whenever you're trying to do a major time skip, you really have to remember the characterization of your characters. You really want to make sure that they grow into something that's believable. An example of a good time skip would be Dragon Ball, not Super. We'll talk about that. But when Gohan grew up, Gohan grew up to be a scholar, and people were upset because they were setting it up so that Gohan could be the main character of Dragon Ball. But Toriyama said, "Hey, the shoe doesn't fit." Gohan never wanted to fight, which is true. There was actual evidence and data that showed from the beginning that Gohan doesn't want to fight. Gohan didn't necessarily enjoy his studies, but he understood the importance of them. And he also is someone that wanted to become a family man. And Goku, loved Goku, but he's a bum. Goku's not going to work. Goku's not going to be on anybody's payroll. And Gohan didn't want to emulate that. He saw his mother struggling. His mother was a single mother for 7 years, and then even when Goku came back, they were hard strapped for money unless the tournament came by. You know, so like Gohan became a scholar. He didn't want to become a martial artist. I feel like with Masashi Kishimoto, with Boruto and Naruto, like he just completely forgot about the guy that he made. There are some good things about Boruto, like Naruto's relationship with Shikamaru makes sense. They're really good friends now, and they bounce advice off each other like they've always done. Sasuke, you know, like he has really good characterization, but just the relationship, the dynamic between Boruto and Naruto is really poorly executed. And then there's another character that's going to be introduced named Kawaki, who ends up essentially becoming like Naruto's real son, because he's an outcast. And so Naruto really works really hard to make sure that this new kid feels welcome and this new kid has a home in the Uzumaki household. And it's just like, you already have 2 children. You decided not to do that with your first child first. That makes sense. Yeah, it's just, you really got to keep track of the personalities that you made, and make any changes make sense. Spoilers for Boruto are officially over.
But yeah, I agree. I think part of it is that, you know, when you got to stay, it's like you can't, in many ways, it's like, don't be lazy with your time skip. Like, don't just do it just because you want to get to a certain point in the story.
Right.
But you're not there yet. And there's still more story to tell. Like I said, like sometimes you'll see like time skips kind of use a device, like even with Attack on Titan, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it's like, it's obvious that basically, with their time skip, like they didn't necessarily need to show everything that happened. They can just kind of splice it in with the flashbacks and stuff like that. And I feel like it's going to be fine with that. But if there's like a lot that happens between the time skip and where you left off, you might as well just keep the story going and not have a time skip at all. But I mean, that's kind of my advice with it. I mean, in general, you want to tell a linear story, so you don't want to rely too heavily on time skips either. Like you don't want everything doesn't have to be a time skip or a flashback. You know, if you could tell the story linearly and have it still be entertaining, then that's the approach that I would take.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's definitely, in a lot of ways, it's a lot smoother. You know, like you really want to use a flashback or a flash forward in a way that's going to better your overall narrative, and so, you know, like hold the heart of your story. That's what I liked about Yashahime. It's definitely still told in the Inuyasha style as far as storytelling goes, but it's no longer about Inuyasha, Sesshomaru, and their respective groups, but it's about their offspring and them trying to find their way in the world. I do wish that the plot was a little tighter, because it's definitely like Monster of the Week right now. But
Yeah.
it's okay because it's focusing on something new. I think that like a lot of times people will utilize a time skip, especially like a flash forward, as sort of kind of the cash cow of sorts, you know, like a way to say, okay, I'm going to hook in old fans with this old franchise, even though it's not necessary.
Right.
And all that does is overall kill the soul of your series, in my opinion.
Well, it seems like it really has to add to the story. Like you said, don't just throw it in there. It's like you almost need it to tell the story without telling a whole separate story. You know what I'm saying? Seemingly, it's got a transition. That's it. You know what I'm saying? To tell the story, but you almost have to put it in there to uplift the story so you understand it fuller and more seamlessly. I guess that's the word I was trying to look to say.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What are you guys' favorite examples of time skips?
No. Let me think. Favorite example of a time skip.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I can't think of anything.
But yeah, I can't really think of my favorite example. Like I feel like if it's a really good time skip, I'm not really gonna notice too much about it. You know what I mean? Like it's like Naruto. Like I could say Naruto because that's what's one of my favorite shows. But I don't even know how much I really noticed the time skip per se. Like you know what I mean? Like they just had the growth and you kind of had an idea what was happening. Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite. I guess my favorite time skip is the transition from The Hobbit to The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Road, you know what I mean? From you know, The Hobbit with Bilbo Baggins, and then The Lord of the Rings with Frodo, and that little time skip there. Dude, that's
Does Iron Man count?
I know. Iron Man?
The first Iron Man? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Marvel. They got plenty of time skips. I guess in the Marvel MCU. So, but yeah, I mean that's basically like if I had to say like my favorite or the one that I noticed the most. That actually probably would be The Hobbit because that was one of the first like big books that I read. As a kid, and then they're like, oh, you know, well, you read that, there's this. I was like, oh, what's this? It's The Lord of the Rings, so it's like part 2, but it's not really part 2. I guess.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a continuation. But that would probably be one of my favorites. And then, like I said, you just get into the normal anime stuff. But yeah. I'll probably just go with that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that too.
Book-wise / television-wise, I would say the 90s version of It, and of course the book. I feel that, you know, like we lost a little bit of something in the remake by having the first movie be just about them as kids, which was really good. The first movie was great. And then the second one just be about them as adults. I think that narrative really needed that interweaving, adults on certain parts and then kids on the other parts, and then coming to a conclusion that way. And I gained a new appreciation for it after watching the remakes. Seeing how it could have been. And so, like Stephen King he knew what he was doing when he wrote the book. As far as anime goes, my favorite time skip is actually One Piece. There's a 3-year time skip after a major event happened. Again, trying not to do spoilers, even though I spoiled 2 things this call. But it showed a necessary amount of growth between Luffy and his crew, and some of the ramifications are actually still being played on today because Oda is a world building genius. And I think, you know, like that goes back to one of our prior episodes where we talked about your world being a character. I think that and I'm just thinking about this like right now as we're talking about it. If your world is a good enough character and there's actually things that happen outside of just your main characters, time skips may be a little bit more okay because your world is going to pick up slack where your characters may not be able to. if you actually have a living, breathing world with true consequences and true power systems at bay for you to be able to work around and play with. So yeah, no, I think the One Piece is definitely my favorite time skip.
I never really watched One Piece like that.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's goofy. It's goofy looking at first.
I never messed with. But,
yeah, it's definitely super goofy looking at first, and I didn't become a fan of One Piece until years later. I watched the 4Kids version. I was like, man, I'm not watching this. And I even looked at it and read in the Shonen Jump. I was like, yeah, I'm not reading this. But life happened, and I ended up being hooked.
Yeah,
Luffy is a great character.
One of the most, I guess, one of the ones that I just never really got around to getting into, despite being it's insane, like popularity, and everybody's saying it's so good, but never really took the time.
Yeah, well, they just reached this 1,000th chapter this month. So I don't know, like if it's even an endeavor that anybody can even really get on now. Like One Piece is hard to catch up with. I'm not all caught up, but I'm close. I still got a long ways to go.
I guess one of the time skips that I like too is the one for Berserk, which was a backwards time skip, basically. It's like the first part of the first, part of the series is kind of Guts where he's at, and then they get to how he kind of became like he was, and then they bounce back to, back to where he's at. So
okay,
that was like a back and forth with that one. So I thought that was pretty good too, and it's really one of the only few that's really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like it starts out in one way, and then they make the rest about how he kind of got like that, and then they come back to it towards I guess what's not going to be coming towards the end of the entire series if it's ever finished. But back to like where they're at when you first started reading it.
Right. You actually you saying Berserk reminded me and I want to retract my statement about One Piece. Although One Piece's time skip is really good, I think the best as far as anime goes, JoJo's has the smartest sense of time skips out of everyone, because each story is literally its own concrete, like, individual standalone story. Now, there are interlocking pieces, but it's not so interlocked that you literally have to start from the very beginning with Phantom Blood in order to understand everything. It's smart enough to build its characters up for that specific season. And it was so much that, kind of like you said, how, they implemented well, you don't even think about the time skip. That's really how well JoJo's does. You very rarely go back to think about prior seasons with JoJo's. So, yeah, if you guys haven't got on that, get on that.
So is that where can an editor help you with the timepiece, or are they going to really just give you the fixings of a word and how to use like that sentence better? Or do you think you can get that different perspective from an editor on if you're using that timepiece?
What do editors do in America, Madison?
I mean, an editor it depends basically on like what your role is as far as what kind of leverage and pull you have on the work you're working on. The editor could be the end all be all on your comic. But yeah, the editor can read it and say like, this doesn't make sense, do a time jump, or this time jump doesn't make sense, change it, get rid of it. That's kind of their job. Like, the editors aren't necessarily just like proofreaders. Like that's not really what they do, right?
Right.
An editor is going to be looking at the entire merits of your story and giving you feedback on it. And I mean, even Stephen King and well, I don't know if Stan Lee had an editor. It seemed like he was able to do whatever the hell he wanted. but I mean, even the big names have editors, and you want an editor. Like, you want them to come back with a bunch of notes on your stuff because it helps kind of make your stuff better. So yeah, I mean, an editor could have a role in like your time skip or if you're doing a time jump and say, hey, this doesn't really fit. Or they might say something like, yeah, well, Naruto's completely out of character now. You're going to have to change that, or you should change that. Something like that. You know what I mean? Like, they might say that. Like, Naruto wouldn't do that to his kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
They might say something like that in their notes or something. And, like I said, depending on your pool, you might have to change it, or, if you're that guy, then it'll just be a note from them, and you can be like, nah, he's wrong.
Yeah, I know. Editors in Japan, at least, are characterized as pretty much babysitters, like just to make sure. All right, did you get your manuscript done? Are you on schedule? Are you good? What do you need? You need some water? All right, let's get some water. Get this man some water. Stat. Editors are pretty much there to just make sure that you're doing your job. But, like Madison said, they do leave notes as well. I know that a few of the most famous editors in the anime manga world belong to Akira Toriyama. I don't know their names. I just know their stories. Frieza is based off of an editor. Cell is based off of an editor. His editors in his head tormented him. They didn't really, care too much about what was going on with the story, especially like with the Frieza story. Akira Toriyama's editor was down his neck, like, dude, you need to get the stuff done. You need to get it done. It needs to be quick. It needs to be fast. Granted, it helped with Toriyama's paneling, which is why, like, you'll see like his pages might have like 4 panels, 5 panels, because like he was on such a strict deadline. But it was also really stressful for him, so he based Frieza off of one of his editors. And then with the androids, it was a different editor. And at first he made 19 and 20. The editor said, who wants to see them fight an old guy and a fat guy? And so he was like, all right, fine. So then he made 17 and 18. He said, oh, great. Now they're fighting 2 rebellious teenagers. Who wants to see that?
Yeah.
And so then he finally created Cell and based Cell off of his editor because of how like rushed and how tight he felt in his story. So, yeah. Yep, if he would have had different editors, we might have actually ended up having completely different villains for Dragon Ball. That's nuts. But,
okay, I'm thinking of 2 timepieces in their old shows. One was Quantum Leap, which I thought was fun. That was always a fun show. And the second was Highlander. I used to love watching Highlander, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, those was part of that whole time, man. Like, it was a part of the story, so it was done. That's the earliest timepieces I could think of. But yeah, Highlander was my show. I never missed the episode, man. Except when I missed episodes.
Yeah. But that's about all I got, I guess, for just dealing with time skips and nonlinear storytelling, if you will.
Yeah.
That's about it. Anything else you want to add, Ray or Newman?
Nah, man. I
think I'm good on my end, brother.
Mm-hmm. Any shout outs y'all want to give?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to a company up in Pittsburgh. Just recently spoke with the owner, man. Hopefully build a partnership with her. But it's a yoga studio. It's called Trap Yoga. It's in like a South Side. They got like little products and stuff like that. But you can find them on Instagram at Trap Yoga. Or at Trap Yoga, yeah. Hey, bro, that's what I thought, man. But they actually, you know, they got some hood stuff, but it's actually pretty dope, man. It's legit, so you got to check them out. They got videos and things, but it's yoga, so I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna start. I've been stretching like for the last week, just every day stretching. Man, I feel so much better and energized. So, you know, trying to build a partnership with them for the business and other that, but you know, hopefully get some people into yoga, man, because this always it used to be a white thing, and you know, they do all weird things, yoga with goats and stuff like that, man. But this one was just like it's legit, man. Check it out. Check it out. Give her some love. Nia, the owner of Trap Yoga. Gotta have fun with the word trap in it too.
On my end, I have actually two things to shout out. One, it's Wolf of Water 2003. His name is Jeremy. He is an artist working on a comic. You can find him on Instagram, Wolf of Water 2003, just like you said. He has a really, really cool style. He definitely is taking more of a modernistic approach. It's like a webtoon / anime style, but it's still really cool to see. And his comic is going pretty well also, so give him a follow. You won't regret it. And it looks like he's starting to work on some animation stuff as well, so I'm really looking forward to see what he has going on in the future. And then also, I want to shout myself out. My Patreon is officially launched as the 4th. Yeah, I already have 4 patrons, so I'm super thankful for them. And yeah, so there are tiers starting at $1. The highest tier is $100. But there's something in there for everybody. So give me a look. www.patreon.com/raisarts, RAIZARTS, all one word.
Right. Nice. And I guess I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy Andy Smith. He's running a Kickstarter right now. He used to do some comics back in the day for Marvel and DC and Image. So he's got like a real old, like he's got that 90s comic feel. So like this super huge buff dude. You know what I mean? Everybody stacked, the women stacked up, crazy, like that's his art style. But he's running a Kickstarter right now, and you guys can go just type in Andy Smith in the Kickstarter, and it should come up. But you guys can check him out. And then, I mean, that's about it. Ray, you want to tell them where they can find you at again?
Besides my Patreon that I just shouted out, you can find me on Instagram at RaizArts, RAIZ_ARTS.
And you can find me on Instagram, Chris Newman 216. That's Chris Newman 216.
Cool. And I'm Madison Alcorn. You can find us at GoldenTreePublishing.com, or you can catch our YouTube, Golden Tree TV. And if you look us up on Instagram and Facebook, it's Golden Tree Publishing as well. But until next time, peace.